Hey, this is Ed. I want to talk a little bit about children and the importance of what you do in your house with the children. You know, many of you homeschool your children, but I want to tell you that's not the end all. In fact, that's nothing to brag about. In fact, that's biblically commanded that you would teach your children. Deuteronomy chapter 6. You should be teaching your children. Pat yourself on the back. We are supposed to. When somebody says to you, oh, you're homeschooling. Oh, that's so difficult. Are you homeschooling? We're supposed to homeschool. In the Bible, when kids were homeschooled, that's what they were. They didn't go off to a yeshiva, or even like Israel today, you got public school situation that's mandatory. You didn't have that in the old days in the theocratic and the theocracy. And so every parent was responsible for their children. And guess what? That's the way God designed it. So we're supposed to. Now, let me tell you, in that, we learn faith as we educate and build our children. There's nobody more special outside of your spouse than your children. In fact, you're supposed to teach not just your children, Deuteronomy chapter 6, your children's children. And so if you are really, really wanting to do scripture, get about teaching your children. Get about teaching them life practical lessons. The other thing you could do with your children, you could smile with your children, play with your children, do things that are going to be fun and encouraging with your children. Have a good time with your children. That's why you're going to build relationship. That's how you're going to build legacy. You know, you're not going to build two generations down if you treat your children like a fly, get away, Get away from me. If you teach that's not going to work. I'm telling you. And I have lived my life. I've been married. It'll be 19 years. I've lived my life early on in the marriage when our children were small. We recognized the value of being all in our children. But I've lived my life in a selfish way early on in the relationship. And I realized early on those first few years, listen, it's not about me. It's about thee. It's about these little babies, and it's about this lady who is putting her trust in her husband to lead her. And I better do that. And so you husbands, lead your wives. Lead them gently. And if you are worth your salt, you'll find that you'll elevate your game every day in every way. You'll be praying. That's why we talk a lot about prayer. You'll be fasting. You'll be walking out, reading the scriptures. You'll have your children in the prayer, in the situation. You'll understand where they are. Don't let the gap, if you create a gap in relationship, that gap just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So you don't want to let that gap grow. You want to keep that gap nice and thin, nice and narrow. And that is what's going to be able to cause you to enhance and have enhanced relationships. And that's what's going to be able to cause you to have that Deuteronomy chapter 6, 2 levels deep situation. But if you don't do that, you're going to have some problems down the road. You may not have them when they're 5 or 8 or 9 or 10, but that stuff's going to show up when they're 15, 18, 19, 20, 25. And you could put crisis on your kids, not even knowing it. So be in prayer, but also be engaged. Be engaged. There are many things you can do. One of the things we do is I like to see my children in the morning, and I like to see them at night. Sometimes during the day, because of scheduling, meetings, trips, whatever, I can't see them during the day. But at night, before we go to bed, if I'm out, we're going to talk on the phone. If I'm there, we're all together in the same room. Wife, husband, children. Why? The last 30 minutes of the night, you want to spend quality time fellowshipping, talking about what you learned today. How did you apply? Were you able to overcome? Hey, spend time with them. Spend time. They're young once, only once. Then you get the grandchildren. Don't try to make up for what you messed up with the grandchildren. If that's all you got, cool. But if you have an opportunity right now, be a blessing with those children. I'm Ed. Check out the YouTube channel. Also, comfortnation.com.